I wrote a great poem.
Oh, good. Okay, so
And by that I mean it's kind of terrible, but that's my shtick.
that's the name of the show. Rhyme or free, it doesn't matter to me. It's my bad poetry. Good day, and welcome to My Bad Poetry, a podcast where we take a deep dive into our poems from youth, yesteryear, or even yesterday, always asking the question, why in the world did I write this? I'm Aaron.
And I'm Dave.
And together this week, we are in the presence of one whose work was once compared to a journal found in a haunted house from a disappeared author in a cursed town. Her writings have been published in Maudlin House, Rejection Letters, Gutslut Press, and Warning Lines. And if those weren't unnerving enough for you, her poem 4 a.m. was selected as the best runner-up for the Broken Spine Arts Contest. Now, before we scare ourselves too much more, let's welcome our guest, Lauren Theresa. Lauren, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. Wow, what an intro. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk with you guys and get weird with this. So
yeah, I love the titles of the presses that have selected your. Do you specifically target presses with unique names or?
It's funny. I feel like, but there's definitely a correlation with presses that I feel like fit my I don't know if vibe is the right word, but yeah, and it's usually the ones that are a little bit stranger, quirkier, darker. So yes, there's including bullshit lit.
Yeah.
So there's definitely it's not a coincidence.
Now you just did a reading for bullshit lit.
Yes, I did.
How did that go?
It was awesome. It was it was my second ever in-person poetry reading. The first one being 3 weeks ago. And it was so cool. Veronica's amazing. And it was just it was so awesome to be in real life.
Right. Sure.
So much of it is online and, just written. So yeah, it was great. I loved it. Love being there.
Nice. Well, Dave, to get us into the realm of poetry, I believe you have something.
I do. Yeah. Talking about poetry readings, I've never read any of my poetry in public because no one has ever asked me to for some weird reason. I don't know why. Huh.
I would like for you to read your
Oh. Well, thank you. No, I was definitely fishing for that. I needed it. Okay, here we go. My life emanates extravagant patience, except when Bluetooth is lost in its cadence, or Wi-Fi seems to evaporate over an airwave, and Roku buffers and will not behave. With a lack of patience, I am never caught, except constantly, for no reason, just on the spot.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm very talented. I know.
That was a fun
reference. I love that.
They say write what you know, and I am a very impatient person.
Now, Dave, just because we talked yesterday, was this Roku frustration because you were trying to watch the new Weird Al movie?
No, I don't know what you're talking about. It definitely didn't pause in the middle of a scene. And I feel called out right now, Aaron.
How was it?
It was very stupid, but I loved it.
That was a fun poem, Dave.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I love that Weird Al is involved in setting the tone now, too.
Yeah.
As with all good podcasts, especially discussing literature.
Absolutely.
The man who gave us My Baloney.
Mm-hmm. A classic.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Lauren, hopefully you haven't been scared away with Dave's attempt at poetry and our form of banter. But we know that your published poems have been featured in some frightfully named presses. So we're wondering how frightening your unpublished works are.
So, frighteningly in what way? In bad? Because I've got a lot of those.
That's exactly what we're looking for. Yep, yeah. That is it.
Yes. I feel like I kind of went in reverse in my poetry in life, where I started out, I've been writing poetry. I didn't even realize I was doing it, but I was writing poetry since I was 6 or something. And, but my original stuff was it was so deep, unnecessarily deep though. Way too meta, way too all of that, and intense. And now I write poems. Like I just like finished a chapbook based on like this 7-layer burrito. Which is actually a really beautiful chapbook, and I really love it, and I want to do something with it. But yeah, I kind of like left the ridiculousness in later.
Nice.
I feel like that was a little bit in reverse.
I love it. So, what bad poem do you bring to us today?
Okay. So I figured I could read some of my older poems that were like when I took myself so seriously. Back when I was like, okay, nobody knew I was writing poetry, like literally nobody up until a couple of years ago. But I started writing unnecessarily under a pen name of Lauren Theresa. Kind of mortifying.
That is impressively self-important.
Impressively, which is like the exact tone of everything I was writing at that time.
Sure.
And it also like now I'm like getting nervous that there might even be like a deviant art page linked to it and stuff. But
oh, that's amazing.
it was like so, but I would like it was so weird though, because I was like this very on the surface, I was a very typical kid. Like I was like pretty like a good kid. I had like bangs and I like was an author server for way too long and like and I was like very chill in my friendships and relationships, but I would like if I like met somebody, I would go back and I would write like it was like creepy. Like I would write these epic pieces about them. And like I can look back. I mean, I have all my journals too, and I brought some with me right now. But I'll go back and I'll be like I knew that dude for 2 weeks.
But I knew him deeply.
Yeah, right? Oh my God. Like, thank God nobody ever read my poetry at that time. So I'm going to mortify myself, if that's the right term of it.
Yes.
And right? And I think I might read one of them from like 2003.
Oh, perfect.
Kind of. But I can read this like overly enraptured was the first word that I came up with. Overly loving love poem about this like literal stranger. And it's so embarrassing. And then there's also like it was also I would do like these social commentary ones.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah. So typically with our guests, we do 2 poems. So I think we need the romance and then we need the social commentary.
Oh yeah.
I think that's a perfect pairing.
right. Because then like I also have my poems about like present day, about like Bat Boy and like cocaine and stacker twos and all that stuff. But I'm like kind of proud of those, like even though they're pretty right. This is the stuff that I'm mortified about. My Lauren Theresa days. So oh my God, I hope nobody listens and hears this one. Put a disclaimer on it that it's like not me. Okay.
I love that you're embarrassed about like the love poetry, but like Bad Boy, yeah, on board.
Own that.
That's me all day.
I feel like I need to read the Bat Boy one after this. It's so short just to redeem myself. Can I do that?
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Just even my beings out. And I would write it on like bus station receipts and like First Union like checks and like it was so dramatic. Okay. August 24th. Just finished. Sorry. I just can't remember how intense I was. Okay. Just finished smoking the day's last cigarette. Thinking of you, what you've done to all of me in all of 3 weeks. How I love you. How I can't find the words. How I can't even speak. Sorry. My soul has melted into the crimsons of your sunset. The colors of what I used to know as my life have brightened with each slow dusk. I didn't even see this one coming. Daylight savings and my world has been shifted, gifted with one more hour of timeless beauty. Enraptured by a lazy night, looking to just get by. Instead, the hazy sight of the stars reflected in your eyes. This time I can't escape. This time I refuse to even try. I knew that dude for like literally 3 weeks.
I do love the timeliness of it and that we're recording right before daylight savings. How perfect.
Right? Yeah. So for feeling that so intensely with somebody you met passing in traffic light. Okay.
that extra hour.
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh.
Well, over the course of 3 weeks, an hour does make a difference.
Big difference, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of love it. Not gonna lie, I kind of love it. Like that to me feels exactly like, just uh that teenage or young adult experience of this is what true love is and no one will ever understand it. Oh wait, never mind. I just fell in love with this other person that I just met now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? I feel like most people have pretty extensive experience with that.
Yeah. What was that phrase? The colors of my being have shifted?
I think so.
Whew.
Yeah.
That was impressive. In a different poem, I don't know. I kind of like that image, but it's a bold statement.
It's a bold.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. A lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's also why I'm glad I didn't get into publishing my work until the last couple of years. Very different social experience, if that was the case.
Now, in Lost Things, your style is very prose poem, right? It's blocked. Yeah. In this journal, are you doing a lot of line breaks? It kind of felt like there's some rhyme scheme and some breaks in there.
Yeah. So you know what's interesting? Originally, it wasn't. It was very much. It was like this.
Oh wow. Okay.
But then it was like I went wild with ellipses. Like every single thing was like ... in between.
Mm-hmm.
Which made it actually impossible to like. I tried to do a nostalgia little chap based on some of this older stuff, and I think it was really hard to translate it because it's just all just ... I don't know.
I think the ellipses just had a moment in the early 2000s. And
Did it?
Yeah, because I was obsessed with it, and I think I'm still kind of. But
I was gonna say the ellipses moment has ended because that's still 90% of what I write, at least in text messages.
Yeah, can we just like claim it as it's a thing?
It's a thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who needs those what are they called? Like hyphen dashes? Nah, just ellipses everywhere.
Everywhere. All right. I'm going in. The lines trailing off that mirrored like cigarette smoke. I'm just gonna for all of us. Oh my God.
So you said you knew this person for 3 weeks. Did you know this person after 3 weeks?
Oh, no.
No, it was just a passing.
Yeah, and like it wasn't even that serious. Like this is what would happen. Like I would just meet people, and I like I don't know. We don't need to get like into the psychology of it, but I don't know. I feel like it was something where like I think I just loved love so much, and like I would just become like literally like the word enraptured. It's just enraptured, and then I would just sit outside and smoke cigarettes by the Hudson and like just write. And again, like I never showed anybody any of it, which like including the people. I think I knew better than that at that time. But yeah, it was just like you go back through my journals and you're like, oh my God, she was intense. That I made her kind of situation, but that wasn't me on the surface. I was totally chill on the surface.
That's impressive to be able to hold that back, because like I for a long time thought I was a serious person, and then I realized who I am.
Yeah.
Which is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And like literally like stacks and stacks and stacks of these things. Like
oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
Over 100 easily. Oh my God.
Wow.
One of those things like I'm gonna need to like lock away or do something with, like, because if I ever die and somebody finds these, they're gonna have a completely different perception of me. And it's not necessarily a good one.
You got to put that in your will or something.
Right?
You know?
This is giving me James Blunt, You're Beautiful vibes.
Ah, all right.
That's the whole point of that song. I saw your face, like it's a passing moment that he's just creating this whole vision of love from.
Okay. Yeah. That makes it like less creepy. All right.
Or James Blunt's song is just creepy.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the song, but
and I was going more for the Magnetic Fields. They have the album 69 Love Songs, and it's just this same like overly sappy. There's one song where it's I don't want to get over you. I could smoke clove cigarettes and read Camus, And it's just like, yikes, dude.
I'm like
I think
embarrassed
the best
for him.
part is, though, that dude wrote that song when he was like 45.
Oh.
It's like, oh.
Lauren, with this admission of having hundreds of these journals, all I'm hearing is that you need to be a reoccurring guest because I only have the Wolf Journal to go with off of my poems, and we're running low. Like we're gonna run out of my old poems real quick here. So.
Oh yeah. I am so down to come in and read an overly borderline obsessive, uncomfortable love poem from my youth. Angsty love poem from my youth. So anytime.
Yes.
I'm totally down.
Awesome.
There we go.
Awesome.
The metaphors galore. So
well, I like the dusk and the idea of sunset. I mean, there are some beautiful images in there. For a 3-week infatuation, again, creepy.
Oh, I agree. Yes, I definitely.
Well, but then, I mean, we always talk about like this with culture in that, like, I remember growing up and reading Romeo and Juliet and thinking that was the utmost of beauty. And it's like, no, it's about teenagers who kill themselves. Like it's
over a fling. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's that same thing of also, again, written by an old white man. So that's especially weird.
Well, I think we've touched on some social commentary here. The romanticizing of infatuation and puppy love and love at first sight. So maybe that's a perfect transition to one of your deep social commentaries.
That was a very pained. Do I have to? Are you sure?
All right. You know, and it's funny because some of the stuff, like, I feel like it was actually good. Like, I still liked it.
Yeah.
But it's a different, it's like, you know, it's obviously it's different. It's like me as a teenager writing it. But, another thing that was like constant throughout so much of this was like the rhyming. Like, I couldn't help myself. And I wouldn't even say I was like trying, it would just come out that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like I guess also the music I was listening to at the time, it was just like influencing that. But it's just flooded with like rhymes and ellipses and yeah.
Are you saying there's other ways to write poetry?
I feel like my inner poet is gonna get really pissed at me after that. Like, I brought your ass here. Like all right. Also from the early 2000s. Okay, I'll read this one. I'll try to get through it. Breaking from reality. I step back from society. Prisoners smoking magic cigarettes, fantasizing as black regrets melt away into color. The bottomless brown of the Hudson seen through shallow eyes hypnotizes my gaze as the haze of their smoke, my lips, my hips longing to be held, to be touched again. This majestically sudden spring, my heart beats its longing. That one actually, I remember, and I was trying to find it. I had like etched it in a journal. I was literally sitting in the corner of like this dorm room party. And just at that point, like I'd moved away from my normal, like I wasn't trying to normal anymore. I was just like being more myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I cut all my hair off and I just totally, it was also like super emo time, like black eyeliner, like everything black. And I was like literally sitting in the corner of this party, like writing this. And I drew this sketch of this like clown smoking pot. And I'm like really bummed that I couldn't find it. But the other part of it, I think the second part was the same line, same thing. It's like stale cigarettes, pocket Valium, ashing away promises, lighting up pain again. You can't feel my pain. You don't know suffering. I can show you if you'd like, but then I'd be no better than you. Bat boy fools. Jaded by MTV and high school gossip. I inhale the smoke, it too hurts me. Scratching away my throat, already screamingly sore. I'm sure you haven't been here before. Oh, but sweetheart, you will. Like that boy.
This is incredible.
Oh my gosh.
This was the stuff that was like more salvageable. Like I was trying to turn this into something, and then I was like, it doesn't hold up. It doesn't hold up. Yeah, the MTV references in there was.
I wish you would have gotten more specific with it and just sitting on your couch watching TRL.
So much angst.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that is, sorry. Is it both a breakup poem and a critique of society? What's going on here?
It's just all the feelings, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like I think around that time it was like, yes, it was like probably that person that I just there was always a breakup, but it was like, yeah, that was probably, at least in my periphery, I think that was all happening. And yeah, I mean, at the end of it, I was also just kind of like bored. So I was just sitting and like everybody was just kind of like smoking, and I mean, obviously no judgment there or that at all, but like
Right.
then I did, because like that wasn't what I was just sitting there.
No.
I guess I just needed something. I don't know. Banal conversation. And I was like, talk about something deep, guys. Like, aren't you writing intense love poems? Like, what?
I just see you there in like a beatnik hat, like, and just like brooding in the corner.
So much brooding. All the brooding.
The only important question is, did you have bongos with you?
Oh God, no. That wasn't my style of brooding. It was more of like I had headphones with me.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And
Yes.
my mixtapes and stuff. Like I didn't go into the beatnik thing. I don't know. I feel like it also then overlapped that it's also early mid 2000s, and then like that whole scene and the punk scene, pop punk scene, and like all of the emo, like everything there, which also was like a that point of intensity, at least to my that was kind of more my witchy emo kid.
Yeah. We talk a lot about the emo phase. That was something we both really got into. Like My Chemical Romance, and I mean, yeah. But important question: what are your thoughts on?
That means it's not going to be at all
important. No. Garden State. Garden State.
Oh, Garden State. Wait, Garden State, the movie, or Garden State? Oh my God, I loved it. I loved it so much.
Yep. That explains everything.
Are you kidding me? I listened to the album like on freaking repeat. It was uncomfortable how much I listened to that. Does that come through?
You're sitting in the corner of the room nodding along to the Shins, aren't you?
100%.
See, I have never seen Garden State,
Dave,
and I'm a bad person for that, but I still think it's hilarious because my wife, who grew up living under a rock, that was like the one popular movie that she saw, and so she knows like the Andrews Sisters and Bing Crosby and the Shins, and it's like, where is this coming from? This is entirely out of left field. None of this makes sense to me.
It was an intense compilation, but it worked.
It was good.
It reverberated, and there was so much around that time too. There was like I was also into Grey's Anatomy, which also I don't know if you guys watch Grey's Anatomy, but that like the end of every single episode was just
the fray.
Yes, it was just for crying and like writing.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. My wife still watches it. Are you up to date?
Oh no.
Oh, they're still going. They're still pumping out an episode a week.
Is it still like, does she cry after? Is it still really emotional?
I mean, they still do the emotional montage. Like, I catch it when I like walk in it. That's not one that we watch together, but like I'll catch it. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
I feel like I need to get really immersed in it again and like start listening to the soundtrack and then like just see what my poetry does.
Yeah, maybe you'll start talking about like the haze and the colors and those things came back again. It was like the two poems carried very similar themes. Yeah.
A lot of, I mean, I was constantly like, I went to school right by, like, I went to school in Rockland County, and I was like between there, and I was working in the city bartending in the city for a little while. So it was always like being by the Hudson was synonymous for me with like writing my poetry, and I would just chain smoke and write. And that was my youth.
You should try and dig through and do a chapbook on the Hudson.
Oh, well, this is way darker, but yes.
Okay. Well,
I started writing one because I remember I had I actually where is it? I have to dig it up for another time. But I like started writing a poem based on when I was like really young. We were at this restaurant and I saw like it's not funny at all, but I saw a body floating on the Hudson River.
Oh my.
And, like I was the first person to find it. And I was like, and that was like the thing. And then like, yeah. And then I wound up like getting married at that place. Anyway, like I wrote a whole
Like you
I'm gonna leave
do.
a big gap in between all of that and just
Yeah, that's good.
No, I
I
imagine you were
together.
searching for a wedding location. There's a dead body here. This is the spot.
I remember the helicopter. Yeah. There's. I'm gonna. Yes, I'll write one about the Hudson River.
We just covered a lot there, and I don't know where to go. Wow. So you had like a Saved by, or what is it?
Stand by Me.
Stand by Me moment
Mhm.
at this restaurant.
Mhm.
Life changing.
Mhm.
Got married at the same place.
Mhm.
Life changing.
Mhm.
And you're saying there isn't a poem, or you're working on a poem?
There is. There is. There's
Okay.
like a I wrote the same. Yeah, it's. I gotta go find it. I wrote it like a couple months ago, and then I kind of forgot about it. But thank you for bringing it back into my.
Honestly, that sounds very interesting.
No, I feel like we're bringing up a repressed memory of something.
Yeah, give me a minute. Give me.
Wow.
This just turns into a therapy session.
Yeah, that actually kind of brings me into, like, you do archetypal psychotherapy, right?
Yes.
Okay, I saw that in your bio. So
Yeah.
from Lost Things, it seems very autobiographical.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering if ever within like a session or something, you think to yourself, this would make a great poem. Have you ever explored venues that aren't your personal history? Or, I mean, obviously not breaking like clientele, like you're not naming names and
Right. That's not how I wrote my notes or anything.
yeah. but like maybe like years later, you're like, that one story struck me. I'm going to explore this in a poem. Have you ever done that? Or
You know what's interesting? No.
oh,
And
okay.
I actually I mean, everything that I've ever written, I mean, that's a bit, I have to like obviously think about it, but virtually everything is like it's just from my own kind of well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I mean, it would be very inspiring, like the work that I've been in the field for 20 years, like art therapy, social work, like had a practice for 10 years. And I also did like a lot of dream work and stuff in there. And like interestingly, like I mean, it would definitely, it was very inspirational in a sense. Like I would be inspired and I would kind of sometimes be in that space, but it was still always like pulling from my own stuff
Yeah.
or like literally nature around me, like from there. But yeah, that's interesting. No, I've never written it based on or from like the launching point of anybody else's experience, which is interesting because I've heard a lot of people's experiences. So I guess I feel good. I kind of feel good about that. And it's boundary.
I feel like, is that a professional boundary then?
I think
Like
it
that it's just
probably
kind of
is.
a block there? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always been very good with boundaries. Like
That's
I mean,
great.
meanwhile, I wrote like this, like the book. I thank you for reading it, but it is way too, it's like hyper personal. I'm like, I have very good boundaries. And I'm like, here is an entire history of my drug use and sexuality and how I came into my mental illness. Understand, like all of that is just in the book. And I'm like, thinking I'm this like very boundary person.
But I really appreciate that. There's an openness and an honesty that one thing that Dave and I continually are just blown away with when we have guests on is like the universality of emotions and experiences we have when people go through very specific like traumas and experiences that's unique to them, and yet your poems can speak to like a person like me when I laugh and like, yeah, I've been there with Moana.
It's so cool though. It really is. Like the reading that I did, the first one, which was just a few weeks back, was so it was like for my local arts event, which was interesting because like it's very different with Twitter and like our kind of chosen community and then being out. And I mean, most of the crowd was like probably 70 plus, like
Oh,
years old. And I looked around, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be reading my poetry. Like, oh my God. It kind of all hit me. But very appropriately, like we were all given a muse, and my muse was tragedy. And I start by like I really resonate with tragedy. But the idea of tragedy, coming back to what you were saying, of like it's the original meaning and like the Greek, plays was like you're telling a story about the human condition. And it could be so specific and so personal, but then it tells something also about you. And then it also tells something about me and about us. And like there's magic in that.
yeah. Yeah.
So it's cool. It's cool to feel that.
Yeah.
And they liked my poem, even the one that started about my period. I was like really about that, right, about to go up, but it got a good reception. So they related to that. The 70-something-year-old men also understood where I was going with that. So it's amazing.
Now that's impressive.
No, yeah, it's good. It's good. Where were we going with this? Oh, well, this has been chaotic so far. So let's talk about the chaos of icebreakers.
Yes.
I honestly, I saw it like happen. There was like a blip on Twitter, and then like all of a sudden icebreakers was.
Yeah, it became real in the world. I mean, my initial thing was like, I make no promises. But yeah, I put it out there. It was after a collaborative call, a had call and I had this like random idea, and I love when people, when you have like a really random weird thing and other people are like, oh, I also like that random weird thing. Let's do that. And actually Tari Lynn Davis, who was just on, she's one of our partners in crime. Danny Durock, Aubrey Kaufman. It's the four of us who I like put a thing online and they responded, and then we just started a little thread and we created this chain letter, which was hilarious and amazing. And then there were like 20 something people that collaborated on it. And then from there it was like, this was so good. Like just being able to connect with people and do something with no pressure and do something that's just like letting the muses kind of take control and get as weird as you want to. It felt so refreshing. So from there, I kind of put a thing out there. I think I just tweeted it. I was like, I feel like this should exist. And then they were like, well, go make it exist. And then I made it exist. And then everybody was down, Danny, Terry, Aubrey, were totally down. And it was meant to be. It was written in the stars because we all work so beautifully together. And and so we'll do we just had our first call for the Halloween edition, and we got every submission was incredible, and we got a ton. It was amazing. And then and we'll do spontaneous pop-ups, like our ice baby challenges, where we just started on a Twitter thread, and people will engage with each other and write something weird in real time online. But it's cool because it's like I feel like this is also the tone of like where I've landed with poetry, where it's like it's ridiculous. Like you could get ridiculous and weird. And also there's something so deep and meaningful there. And that's what keeps happening. And that's what we've seen with Icebreakers. Ben Klein and Todd Dillard worked together on it, and like amazing work. And I think Ben had posted something about it, about like how meaningful the experience was for him. I'm putting words into his mouth, but that was the tone of it, was that it meant something, and like, it's just so, it's very charging. It's very cool to be able to help facilitate those connections that were definitely meant to be. And I'm like honored to be, I don't know, a conduit for it.
Yeah.
Part of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it feels very good. It feels very, and there's no bullshit with it. There's no pressure or anything. It's just.
That's where bullshit comes into play, right?
Unfortunately, there's no bullshit in there yet. But.
That is awesome with what has happened over just this short span of time after that chain letter went out. And having had Terry on, I think the genres that you two play in and the images that you work with, they're very compatible. And it's cool.
It's funny. I in her podcast, she was talking about the tree. I actually have a poem where I'm like, I am that tree. And I couldn't I'm going to have to get back to you on that, because I'm like, I really want to, I really need to bring that one up too, because I also am that tree.
We have to put those two poems in conversation.
Yes.
Reach out after. Terry, if you're listening, make me send you the poem, the tree poem, and we'll just write a bunch of I am tree poems. Next chapter.
Next chapter, just I am the river birch. I am
the willow on the Hudson.
Oh no, come on. Wait. I 100% missed it. I'm 100% that birch.
Oh.
I just took a DNA test. Turns out I'm 100% that birch. No?
Oh, I'm not getting this at all.
I think that's where it was, right? I mean, that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're done. You nailed
it.
Lizzo,
Aaron. Lizzo,
I'm sorry.
Aaron. Nothing I can say will top that. So.
I get
if
it.
That's where we're setting the bar, I feel terrible for all of us.
No, Dave, I'm going to say, I think the reason I didn't get that reference is because you were just trying to rap Lizzo.
That's still one of my favorite things is we have a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old. And so my wife loves to listen to Lizzo, but only when the 3-year-old is out of the house.
They do repeat that. Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
Awesome. Because I mean, it's better. There's, I mean, Lizzo's freaking amazing. Like,
Yeah.
Right?
oh, but yes, no, my daughter has gone into school singing songs before.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, we
It's
have
dangerous.
we have a playlist on our speakers that's labeled like "Kid Out of House." It's just like only safe to play when kid is out of house.
Yeah.
Yeah, but wow. Well, how are you feeling out the Bat Boy poem?
I don't know. I mean, it's definitely. I don't want to end with that and then be like, this is a really awesome sample of my work, because that's like, also not. But yeah. I mean, it's.
You said it's short, so let's hear it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's in good juxtaposition too. Okay. All right. I'll read it. What the hell? It's called "I Want to Believe." I want to believe that Pluto is a planet and Kurt didn't kill himself. That Bat Boy is safe and the aliens autopsied are immortal, having risen from the dead right after those grainy pictures were taken. That they weren't taken, but flew back to their saucers and are watching us now, communing through static and disguising themselves as Bloody Mary, waiting for us to turn off all the lights and stare into the mirror, cracking eggs on our heads and letting it all drip down our faces, summoning by the law of 3 the end of the world as we know it.
I love that so much.
I like
That's
that
so
one.
good.
I like that one a lot, actually. That's just fun.
Good, right? It's just, I mean, not good, but like I'm saying it's good, but it was like, it came out and I was like, this is where I want to be right now.
Yes. Yes.
Like Mary Bat Boy vibes for some reason.
The perfect place to be sometimes.
I was gonna say, is that self-deprecating, or I don't know.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think a lot about Bat Boy. Do you? I mean, you know what I'm referring to? Bat Boy,
Yeah.
Weekly World News. I feel like that was such a pivotal moment, or whatever was happening in my world. I remember just like thinking a lot about Bat Boy, because like every week it would be a new thing. Like Bat Boy leaves New York and is in California, or like, or Bat Boy is seen with a new jacket. Like it was constantly the thing about Bat Boy, and then he just went away. And I think about him, and I wonder, and I write poems about him. Well, I write one poem about him. I might write more.
You might have to write more.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm a serious person.
Very
Just like
serious.
me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's why you're on this show. This of all shows is where serious talk of poetry occurs.
Yes. Indubitably. That elevates it, right?
Well, Lauren, many of your prose poems remain unbroken. We sadly will have to end this line of conversation.
I can't deal with you, Aaron. I can't deal with you.
Even when I wrote...
Can we put an ellipsis at the end?
Yes. In the script
Only
there is one.
Of course. This is why I can't follow along in the script, because there are so many lines like that, and like I honestly believe my eyes would roll out of the back of my head. Oh, buddy.
Oh. Well, before we let you go, we here at My Bad Poetry try to end each episode with the words of a true poet. So would you be willing to read one of your better poems for us today?
Okay. This one is Motels. This one was published by Maudlin House a little way back. Motels are made for poets, or maybe they're the result of a world without them. Creviced streams collecting leaves and remnants of gas station binges. Long crumbling stretches slicing through memories of a natural world. Staring out the window, eyes reeling my heartbeat into another flat roof with too many doors, and another, and another. The pits in my chest jerk and start to crack open, making way for the baby born here that shouldn't have been born here. Small shells cupped to the ground, revealing something beautiful and grotesque. The lingering taste of citrus and cardboard, sticky residue on fingers and pastries that were never quite fresh and never quite stale. Opening to concrete walls containing that which cannot be contained. Mired by cheap landscape portraits adorning broken shrines and the alchemy of refreshing stale ash with fire. These spaces pass as slices of film, reeling me back into the moments when this was all a dream, and back to the moment when it wasn't.
Mm.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, it's also just so... it's so depressing, but hopeful.
Yeah, that's really well put. Yes. Yes, that's like where I live.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah, you see me. Thank you.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting. I like the other day I wound up driving kind of like aimlessly. I had to like pull over and I wound up like kind of getting lost, oddly enough. And I wound up at the exact stream that I was at when I wrote that.
Wow.
It was really, really wild. Yeah, because I've been like in a pretty transitional place too. And like, yeah, it felt that. It felt like it was that kind of heavy, deep, like underground, but then also something hopeful. Something
Yeah.
there.
Well, and it's also less, of the hopeful for a continuation of a 3-week relationship. So
That helps. Yeah.
that helps.
There's been a deep thing for sure. Yeah.
Right.
But
What? You get better over time and you learn how to
I
do
don't
your
know.
craft? What?
I'm gonna seriously do an experiment where I watch Grey's Anatomy and watch Garden State and listen to the Shins and just see where my poetry goes because it might also. It might,
You might have to come on like the next day and share what you wrote.
I'm very excited. And all my Hudson poems. Yeah, I'm excited.
Well, Lauren, this has been incredible. I'm so glad we've made this time work and that you were able to come on.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, this was really
This was so
fun.
much fun. Yeah, I love this.
Good. And as we've said with every guest, seriously, every guest, we hope that you're able to come back sometime. This has been phenomenal. I'm awful at booking things, so hopefully sooner rather than later. But I think you committed to us, I don't know, like half a year ago. And so just so grateful, so grateful that this worked.
Time isn't linear.
Yeah, right.
There you
Time
go.
happened exactly when it was supposed to happen. And I kind of love that like this was gonna be a Halloween thing, but then it's after Halloween, but it still has all of that kind of dark heaviness to it. And I feel like that kind of works.
And
Yeah.
and the poem you brought to us referenced daylight savings time.
I
It
planned
is
that.
meant to
Come
be.
on.
Meant to be this weekend rather than last. So
Fire. That boy. Okay. God, I'm sorry.
this has been My Bad Poetry.
Now go write your own bad poetry.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thanks, Lauren.
Thank you. See you soon.
Yep.
Thanks.
Have a
Bye.
good one. She was awesome.
Yep. Rhyme free doesn't matter.